What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I'm back with my 7th gen HD remake wishlist. Now, again, this is begrudging because this list is too long, because the 7th generation consoles they lasted way too long, and because of that, there were so many games on there. Some of them good, Some of them I would warrant a HD remake. Some of them I'd like other people to experience those games and shit. But there's such a catalogue of games that it's taken me a few days to whittle the list down to what it is, and some of them I'm still not even sure of. But I'll list those out specifically anyway, and I'll give my thoughts on them as I go. What I thought was cool as well, actually, is since I published my previous video, my 6th generation one, one of my favourite YouTubers, Alpha Omega Sin, posted one of his as well. Now, I'm sure that had nothing to do with me, but I just think it's cool that and one of my favourite YouTubers posted his Capcom PS2 HD remaster wishlist in the last few days as well. So I thought that was pretty cool anyway. Definitely check his videos out there. They're pretty fucking cool. He's got good opinions on everything as well, and I definitely agree with a lot of the stuff he has out there. But we'll get started anyway. And again, it's a pretty long list, and I'm gonna go into each individual game as well and why I think it's the way it is. So actually, I shouldn't really have said the individual thing, because this first one is actually a series, because there's basically too many of them to list off. But I'm going to start on the PS3, and you have the Atelier series, or Atelier series, however you pronounce it. But there's so many of them on the PS3. There's obviously just a couple on from the PS2. There's a couple on the Vita, and so there's so many on the PS3, which is what I'm talking about. On this one, is that there's just too many to list. But they're really good JRPGs. Well, most of them are really good JRPGs. There's one or two I wasn't that much of a fan of, but one of the things that really these would benefit from is the art style. And obviously, okay, yeah, the PS4 and the Xbox One, because this is generally taken to HD remaster for both 8th generation consoles and maybe PC, but it's something that the new consoles are sorely lacking in JRPGs, and this would really help, because there is a lot of them, and they do have a great art style that would definitely be very well received on a more powerful hardware. Now, I went back and forth on this next one, because I didn't like the game itself. I was really hyped for it until shortly before it came out, just the E3 just before it came out. Actually, they started showing off a lot more gameplay, and it really turned me off. But I bought it anyway, and I didn't really like it. But I like the style of the game, but we'll go with it. It's tipped to have a HD remaster coming out at some point anyway, but we'll get onto it. This game is Beyond Two Souls, so we all know the one. It's the game with Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. It's in the same vein of games as Fahrenheit, or depending on where you live, Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain. So it's done by David Cage as well. So it makes perfect sense why it's exactly like those. So it's not my cup of tea, but the game style and the game type is very. I think it's very well done. And some people really want a HD remaster of that game, so that's why that's on there anyway. I left out some other obvious games as well. I mean, you have Final Fantasy 10-2 has a PS4 version, so I left that off the list anyway. But I try to avoid remasters of remasters. There are one or two exceptions, but I try to leave them off anyway. Next up is another David Cage game. This one I absolutely love. Heavy Rain was my game of the year in 2010 when it came out, and it's just a fantastic game, and I really think that would definitely benefit from a HD remaster for fans of the existing game, and people who like the genre, maybe people who only got in at Beyond Two Souls and like that. Heavy Rain, I definitely feel is a much better game, but that's just my opinion. It's the internet. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one, so that's just me. Next up, MGS4, so Metal Gear Solid 4. I can't remember if it's Sons of the Patriots or Guns of the Patriots. either way, yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wrote this down the other day while I was looking and whittling it down, but I just wrote MGS4 down. But MGS4 was arguably the most disappointing main MGS game in the series, but it still had, for the PS3 at least, it had good graphics. I felt it was really hampered by the PS3, and they could clean it up very well on the PS4 and Xbox One or the PC. You know, they, I know it's questionable because of the whole Kojima Konami thing, but let's just say for argument's sake, if they were to port it to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, I mean, we've already seen what Ground Zeroes on the PC is like. It has proper PC settings, and it's a very, very good PC version. So I mean, they could do. I really feel they could do wonders with MGS4 on there. Now it's not a great game, unfortunately. We won't even go into the sheer amount of cutscenes and the length of them. But the actual gameplay, only a couple of the chapters, only 2 chapters are worthwhile mentioning. But I think it would be a boon for anyone, because I mean, some people are even just getting in at MGS5. Some people on the last gen didn't have a PS4, so you know it's a good choice to put in. Next up is a game I really liked as well, especially because I'm a big JRPG fan, and the art style in this is brilliant because it's helped in production by the legendary Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, however you want to pronounce it. But Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, it's a great game, and without saying too much on it because I'll just be going forever at this point, but it's a great game. It would be a really good addition to, since it's a PS3 exclusive, it would most likely be a PS4 exclusive. It would be a really good addition to the JRPG roster for the next gen, or PS4 or PC, whatever. And the art style in it, because it's Studio Ghibli, is just fantastic, and it would really, really pop as a next generation game. So what do we have next? Next will be, actually, this one came out on the PC. It was released on the PS3 originally a couple of years ago, but it was released on the PC fairly recently, a couple of months back, and it's a great game, and it's one of the, like some of the ones I mentioned there, on the PC at least, the way the renderer works is that it will actually render at your native resolution despite the in-game pre-made cutscenes. But Valkyria Chronicles, it's a really good game. I mean, if you know the 3DS game codenamed Steam, I mean, if you're familiar with that, then you'd be very familiar with this kind of game. It's a turn-based, half action, half strategy game, and it's got a cel shaded art style, which I love, and works really, really well at high resolution, because it doesn't just look upscaled or stretched out. It actually renders pretty well on the PC version, so I'd assume they could do the same with the PS4 or the Xbox One version, or wherever they put it anyway. Next up, White Knight Chronicles. I originally had White Knight Chronicles 1 and 2 on the list here, but then I remembered that White Knight Chronicles 2 actually comes with White Knight Chronicles 1 on the disc, so you could call it a White Knight Chronicles collection and put in the 2 games, even though you'd realistically just be remaking the second one and have the first one with it. But it's basically, it's kind of like it's like an MMO, but cut smaller. Even when you're playing an offline single player, it plays very well like an MMO, and it's got a online party system. If you're familiar with the old Phantasy Star universe, no, not the universe, Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast and GameCube, I mean, you could go into a lobby, you'd have 24 people, you could pick some quests or whatever to go with, and it worked really well like that, and they were pretty big and expansive games, so it worked. I'm going to throw this next one in. This one's kind of a maybe, not because they're not good games, and not because they're, you know, the art style wouldn't work or anything like that, but some of them are remasters as it is. Some of them aren't too great. Well, one of them isn't great, but all the other ones are great. We have the Tales of series. Now, on the reason why I hesitate to do that is, I mean, okay, on the PS3 alone, you have Tales of Grace's F, which is it's a great game, great art style. Pretty much all the Tales games are great. But the thing about Tales of Graces F is that's actually a HD remaster of a Wii game brought over to the PS3. So that would fit into the HD remaster of HD remaster, if you will. You've got Tales of Xillia, which is that one was actually made for PS3. So I mean, you could argue that one. I put so much time into that. It's a fucking brilliant game. And again, because it's one of the Tales games, they all use the same art style, so it works out really well. Excuse me, talking too much without taking a break. You've Tales of Xillia 2. Now, Tales of Xillia 2, it obviously with the name, it's a sequel to Tales of Xillia. It's still on the PS3. It's not really as good. It feels kind of like it is basically a spin-off. I won't call it a cash-in, but it doesn't feel like a full game. But it does have the art style, and you could arguably put the two of them in a bundle and go from there. You also have Tales of Symphonia Chronicles. Now, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles is basically, it's a HD remaster bundle of the GameCube game and the Wii game put into one. So I hesitate to put that in on the list as well. But, I mean, they are great games, but we'll leave it as it is there. They get an honourable mention, if you will. So that's the PS3 list done anyway. Now, unfortunately, Xbox 360 was my main platform of choice during the last generation. So I have a much bigger catalogue on the 360. So I did whittle it down as much as I can. Some of these games aren't my personal preference, but I could see why they'd be put in on them, and I'll list them all out individually. Some of these games do have good current PC ports and PC versions. I'm not taking that into consideration. I'm just going to list them out mostly for next gen or possibly PC if they don't have them. So we'll get started anyways. First off, this one is actually tipped to possibly be a HD remaster in the works, and this one is Alan Wake. So Alan Wake it's a great game. It's a third-person action game. It's really heavily story-driven, and if you've ever watched Twin Peaks, it's very Twin Peaks-esque. Or because it's 2015 and it just started the other day, you could also compare it to Wayward Pines, which is basically a spiritual successor to Twin Peaks. So I mean that's tipped. That still has a good PC port, a good PC version at the moment, but it's tipped to possibly be in the works or something that's not going to be ruled out by Sam Lake and Remedy. So that would be nice to see on the Xbox One, especially because Quantum Break is coming out on Xbox One. So I mean, the people who are only getting into Remedy games on Xbox One can at least see some of the older stuff that Remedy has done, and Alan Wake would be a great way to do that. Now, this next one would be a collection. You can argue it would be 2 games or 1 game, or 2 games or 3 games, depending on what way you look at it, because it's the BioShock series. Now, BioShock 1, great game. It came out, long time ago at this point, but BioShock 1 was a great game. BioShock 2, kind of a cash-in, just to capitalize on the BioShock 1 name, because it didn't have as much in it. It wasn't as quality story and all. It still wasn't a bad game, but I mean, I replayed BioShock 2 at the end of last year on the PC. Actually, I did a trilogy run through, and it was, it wasn't as bad as I remember. So it could get HD remastered and thrown in. It does use the Unreal Engine, which can scale pretty well, but personally I wasn't a fan of the art style of the first 2 games. And then you could either leave the collection as HD remastered BioShock 1 and 2, or you could throw in BioShock Infinite into the trilogy as well. Now, I know you used the term trilogy loosely and that kind of thing, but we'll call it the trilogy collection. So the main reason I say that is BioShock Infinite. It came out on last gen and PC. I bought it on PC when it came out, and like I said, I replayed it a few months ago on PC as well, and it looks fantastic. Max settings, 1440p. I hovered around 110 FPS the entire time, and it looked brilliant. It was really, really good art style. I know it uses the same, upgraded version of the engine, but because of the different style, it worked really well. And I think if you were to put all three of them together, it would be a worthwhile collection for the current gen, if that's the case anyway. And as a quick little fun fact, because of Bioshock Infinite, I met the girl, Courtney Drapier, who voiced Elizabeth, because she was at a convention in 2013 here in Dublin. So, here in Ireland, up in Dublin. But yeah, so I mean that was pretty bonus. She actually signed my PC copy of Bioshock Infinite. Next, now this is one I would really prefer as a PC collection kind of thing. So we all know we have Dead Rising 3 on the Xbox One and the PC. Now we have Dead Rising 2 on PS3, Xbox 360 and PC, but we only have Dead Rising 1 on the Xbox 360. That's not including the I won't call it knockoff, but the cut down Wii version, chop till you drop. We're going to ignore that one, but Dead Rising 1 is the main reason I want this. Because if they updated the resolution and the frame rate, which is pretty much all they need to do, and cut a little bit of graphic touch up as well, but they could possibly release a Dead Rising 1 and 2 collection on the Xbox One to play at whatever resolution they want, 1080p, 60 FPS with the graphical improvements. But I would really like it on PC. Now I already have Dead Rising 1, 2 and Off the Record on 360. I have Dead Rising 3 on Xbox One. And I have Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 Off the Record on PC. But I really like Dead Rising 1 on the PC. Dead Rising 1 is my favourite Dead Rising game by far. And I'd really like a chance to replay it as an updated, upgraded version. So I think that would be a nice collection. Right, let's see what we have next. Oh, next up, Deus Ex Human Revolution. Now, I recently replayed this, or sorry, no, not recently replayed. I recently re-downloaded this on Steam with the intention of playing it in the next couple of days or weeks. So along with the Dishonored footage that you're going to be seeing eventually, because I have that installed too, you're going to be seeing some Deus Ex Human Revolution footage. Now, Human Revolution on a PC looks good. It plays pretty well. It doesn't... I remember when I played it a few years ago, I played it back on the 360 when it first came out because I didn't have the PC at the time, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the game. And then when I went to replay it after I got my PC, I wanted to play it with max settings and all that, and I started playing it, and it was still a decent game, still a pretty good game, but it wasn't as good as I remembered. But I'm certainly not saying it's a bad game. So I do think that if you were to upgrade that to Xbox One and PS4, it would make a nice way in, especially with Mankind Divided coming up, because Mankind Divided is a sequel to Human Revolution, so it would give a chance for those people that see Mankind Divided and think, oh yeah, this is badass, I wish I played the old one, and they might not have their console or might not be able to find a copy of the game or whatever it is. So we leave that out of the PC port section because it actually has a decent PC port, but it would be nice to see on the next consoles. This one really, I don't see too much for myself, but I thought I'd give it an honourable mention because of the most recent release. Dragon Age 1 and 2. I really liked Dragon Age 1. I pretty much hated Dragon Age 2, but Dragon Age 1 at least I have on PC too, or PC as well, but the Dragon Age 1 PC version is good. It actually feels better than the console version because it feels like it was made with a PC controls in mind, and it feels more like a PC game of yore rather than what it is. So I think it's an honourable mention that would possibly get it, so people who just jumped in on Dragon Age Inquisition can see what happened beforehand. I don't know if Dragon Age Inquisition is a pure sequel. I haven't actually played it, but it would be a good way to get other people into the series. Now this next one I definitely do agree with. This was an exclusive on 360 for ages until it eventually got ported to PS3, and it's a great JRPG, and I really think the art style would really help as well because of the increased graphics and resolution as well. So It's called Eternal Sonata. It's basically it's essentially, like I said, it's a JRPG game, but it's based on Chopin. Now that might sound really weird, but when you factor in a JRPG and Chopin and how they do everything, it's a lot of the attacks and all are music themed, they're music based, and it works really well. And I remember it being a really good game. I haven't played it in God knows, I mean, like 8 years or so at this point, but it's definitely one. These next two get an honorable mention as well. They have an okay PC versions. One of them was just a heavily broken game on everything when it first released, and the other was just a great game. But once the other one was fixed, it became a pretty good game. And with the possible upcoming sequel, well, it'll all make sense now. So honorable mention as a collection to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Their PC versions are questionable at the moment, at least Fallout 3 is, but with Fallout 4 possibly coming up sometime soon, it could make some leeway. Now, the next one up is Tip to actually, well, it is in the works. We all know it's in the works, but it's Gears of War. So we all know how the story on the Gears of War remake lately, but what is unclear about it, and I'll just throw it on here just for shits and giggles, is hopefully they will do the entire trilogy. Now, okay, yeah, you can throw in Gears of War Judgment if you really want, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over it if it was just the Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. But the big thing I do hope with this is if they do the trilogy, I hope it comes to PC as well. Now, I'd buy it on Xbox One if I had to, but I'd prefer it on PC. With the Gears of War 1 remaster, hopefully that comes to PC. If it's just Gears of War 1, hopefully it comes to PC. If it doesn't, I'll buy that on the Xbox One because it looks good enough to buy. Next up, quick little mention, because I hope once it's fixed it actually comes to PC at some point, but I would really like the Master Chief Collection on the PC. So, just a heads up. The reason I mention that is because obviously, Halo 3, Halo 4, and because they're adding it in already or they're going to add it in at some point in May, ODST. So, that's the majority of the games already there. Right, where were we? Oh, next up is Halo Reach. Halo Reach, I would like a HD remaster. Halo Reach is arguably, it's probably the second best Halo game in my opinion. Next after Halo Combat Evolved, aka Halo 1. But Halo Reach is just a great game. I'm really disappointed that it wasn't taken into the Master Chief Collection. I realize it's Master Chief's story, but he is technically in it, albeit for 1 second, hidden as an Easter egg. But I would definitely like either a PC or Xbox One HD remaster of that game done fairly well. Now this is good because I played this on the 360 when it first came out. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Bought it on a PC, turned all the graphics up to max. It was one of the first DirectX 11 games, and because of that, it plays like shit. And it's locked to 30 FPS, and if you boost it over 30 FPS, the physics and the AI get all weird. But because of the graphics and the scope of the game, and just what it is, because it's I won't say it's a unique game, but it's a very different game, especially from who it's from. We have LA Noire. I think that's enough said really on that. I mean, I think that would be a big benefit to come to the next gen. Not just because it doesn't have to come as a prequel to what could possibly be a next game. Chances are there will be no LA Noire 2, but I just think it would definitely benefit coming to the next one. Right, let's see what's next. This is definite. This came out on 360. It's a brilliant RPG. Those of you who didn't get to experience it really need to do it. I mean, it's pretty expensive on eBay and all that right now, but it's a great game. Came on a couple of discs. Lost Odyssey, and the main thing between Lost Odyssey is it's made by Hironobu. I can never pronounce his name properly. Hironobu Sakaguchi, I believe his name may be pronounced or bastardized by me, but it's made by his studio. Miss Walker Entertainment, and it came out on the 360 only, and it was a really good game. It lasted me a long time, and it was a very long, very content-filled game. Great story, great characters. It was definitely worth a try, and I really feel that would be a nice addition to either the PC, most likely Xbox One because it was 360 exclusive, but also anything on the next gen. I think that would be a big bonus. Right, next up, honorable mention, Mass Effect trilogy. Now I know that's tipped to already be in the works. That's the Shepard trilogy essentially. It was actually weird. Just yesterday morning, I was thinking of doing a Mass Effect trilogy run through. I've never actually finished 3, but I beat the shit out of Mass Effect 1 and 2, like fucking million times. I think I have every achievement in the first 2 games as well. But I really didn't like 3, and I might eventually get around to it. Now the next one. Next one I ask for is because it came out on the previous gen, and then it came out on the PC. I bought it on the previous gen because I didn't finish my PC until later that year, and then I bought the PC version. And it's still one of the best looking PC games that's going at the moment. That game is Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 on PC with everything maxed, 60 plus FPS. It's just phenomenal. It looks phenomenal, plays phenomenal, and I really think that if they ported it correctly, and lately Rockstar have a history of good ports, we'll just kind of forget about Grand Theft Auto 4, but everything basically after Grand Theft Auto 4, I mean, there's the GTA 5 ports on current gen consoles, and the PC version is excellent, so I think Rockstar could do, this transfers to LA Noire as well, I think they would do a really, really good job porting those to the consoles, and in LA Noire's case to the PC with a better updated copy. So this one is it would be a remaster, so I'm not asking for that. But what I am asking for is a PC port. Metal Gear Solid Collection, so that has MGS2 and MGS3. That was released on 360, Vita, and PS3. So I'd like that ported over to PC with proper care, please. Don't worry, we only have 1, 2, 5 more games, arguably even less. So this one is just kind of a nostalgia thing, but it's Perfect Dark Zero, sequel to Perfect Dark. This one launched as a launch title on the Xbox 360. Now, if they reported this to either Xbox One or PC, it would need some heavy work. It wouldn't need to be completely remade, but I mean, this game it's got sluggish controls, it's got bad AI, it's got horrible programming because it was a launch title, remember, for the 360 back in 2005. So I mean, it was a long time. It would need a bit of work, but I just for my nostalgia's sake, and one of my other friends actually, who may or may not listen to this video, but I'll certainly tell him that I mentioned him in it anyway, that we have a little thing that we're going to play PDZ at some point, but we never get around to it, mainly because I'm lazy. Some friend I am, I know. Alright, next up, this one is a great game. PS3 fans are really unhappy that this was a 360 exclusive, or at least it was a 360 exclusive everywhere outside Japan. But it's Tales of Vesperia, arguably one of the best Tales of games, and because it's a Tales of game, it's got the great story, great combat, great control, it's got pretty much great everything, as well as being a great game, and it's got a great art style that would really show and benefit on the next gen consoles with a higher resolution and some touched up graphics. So these next two, this one is, I'm still back and forth on this one, but I'll mention it anyway. It's Oblivion. So, okay, Oblivion. It's Elder Scrolls 4 for people who weren't sure. It might need too much work because people will be so used to Skyrim and it would feel like such a huge step back. So I'm just going to leave it at that. It would make sense, but, well, it would make sense in a little way. Maybe you have an Oblivion Skyrim collection. Hell, if that's the case, we'll redo Morrowind, and I'll be all over that. But anyway, next up was Skyrim. Now, Skyrim would be beneficial for better performance and better, just overall just better graphics and resolution on the next gen consoles or current gen consoles. The problem would be, yes, you wouldn't have access to mods like the PC community does, but maybe they could take in some of the most popular mods and just have an official version and go from there. And there's one more game left up, and this one, actually, well, we'll call it two. I just thought of another one off the top of my head that I want to include on here. Yeah, this one actually had a really good, it was a really good game. It was essentially where the series started going downhill after this game, because we have Splinter Cell Double Agent. I remember hearing the story about this. I was like, this is gonna be crap because Sam Fisher doesn't do this kind of stuff. And then I played it. I was like, holy shit, this is good. Now the thing I really like about that is that the Splinter Cell series is basically possibly the only series that's got better over time to an extent. I mean, I remember playing Splinter Cell 1 on the Xbox 180 back in the day, and I fucking loved it. It was amazing. And then the second one came out. I think Pandora Tomorrow was the second one, and I played that. I was like, oh, okay, this is even better. And then Chaos Theory came out, and Jesus Christ, this is even better. And then of course there was the story for Double Agent. I was like, this one doesn't sound great, but then I played it and it turned out to be fucking brilliant. Then they released, what was the next one? Conviction, and that was crap. And because of that, I never played Blacklist. I wouldn't mind I have Blacklist on Steam, but now I realise when I boot it up on Steam, it'll open Uplay. But yeah, it's just, I have no interest in it. I've seen what kind of game it is. It's basically like an evolution of Conviction, which just isn't doing it for me. But quick last honorable mention, because I completely forgot it off my list here. The Zone of the Enders HD collection and the Silent Hill HD collection. Yes, they would be remasters of remasters, but in the case of Zone of the Enders, I would just like a PC port rather than next generation thing, a properly done PC port. And for Silent Hill, I would like a PC port that actually works properly. Now, on it's currently not out on PC. I do have Silent Hill 2 on PC from way back in the day. It's still up over in the other room upstairs. But the HD collection that released a few years ago on 360 and PS3 is notoriously buggy and bad and glitchy. So if I would personally like them to port it to the PC with proper care and fix all the shit, because yeah, that's it. Now, okay, I'm leaving it there because this video is fucking way too long, and if you watched or listened to the entire thing, I'm extremely grateful, because I really did not intend for this video to be, as it's going, 32 and 33 minutes long. So let me know your thoughts on any of the games I listed, or any of the games from the 7th generation that I missed. I didn't include the Wii on there because reasons, but let me know from anything 7th gen from your personal wish list, or anything I covered on mine, what you would think for a HD remaster. So let me know all that in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter because I've got a new series starting up in about 2 weeks. Sorry again for the video being exceptionally long. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.